And welcome to the final of the first Big League Tour of Season 13 in Major League Pool, MLP. Rufferman, that's franchise on the left-hand side, playing for Pool Legends, who spoiled the all-Pool Fiction final, and Stu, who has taken out two of his Pool Fiction teammates, on the right-hand side, trying to keep this tournament for Pool Fiction, a tournament that PFN had dominated. Really, for the most part, in the final few rounds, there were four Pool Fiction players: Stu, Pitta, myself, and Chris Karen. And Stu had beaten myself and Chris Karen. On his way to the final, Franchise has just beaten Pitta to get his spot here. So that is where we stand, a best of three between these two. Rufferman, a bit of a rarity in Pool Legends. Every time you go into a match with PL, you're looking for a very slow, methodical safety game, and Stu comes up with a rare miss. Rufferman, very aggressive player, though. You're not going to see him pass up too many run opportunities. He thinks he can run the table, and that is a really good asset for Pool Legends because he still is adept at playing safeties, but he can break out a run on you when you least expect it, especially after playing 4 or 5 games that go, 20 plus minutes against Pool Legends in a match. It's kind of like having Tim Wakefield come out of the bullpen. You got one guy throwing 80, 90 miles per hour, and then in comes Wakefield, and you got this 70 mile an hour fastball and a 60 mile an hour knuckleball. Certainly is runnable. Goes for the 13 first to try and break up that 12. He hasn't done it, and in fact has made things a little bit more difficult, though he does have the safety, which it looks like he'll play. And there is very little to be done out of this. I don't think Stu can get to that 6 ball, though he's looking at it. See if he can thread the needle. There is some separation between the 14, that green, and the cue ball, but instead Stu perfectly places that 14 up there on the top rail next to the 8 ball. So that ball is handcuffed for now. See what Rufferman wants to do with it. Would think that that 9 ball would go. He'd be able to set the cue ball right about here, make the 9, maybe even bounce it off the 8 ball up here to free that up, or follow the cue ball through and try to break it up that way. Not sure what he's doing here. Well, he had full power for a moment, but he has gone to just a tap. Stu likely to pounce at any moment, and it looks like he's going for the bank. He's missed it, and he's freed up the 14 for him. Almost made the 8 ball himself. So the 14 is slightly freed up. It can go in off the top part of the 8 ball, if that's the way Rufferman wants to go. Instead, he bashes it loose and should be able to run this one to take the first leg of 3, or a possible 3, in this final. This tournament, by the way, started just after 7 o'clock. We're a few minutes before 9 right now. Over 100 players in this thing, as the first week usually has for Major League Pool. In the later weeks, certainly things die down a little bit. It's no longer this new thing that everybody wants to get in on, and next week, of course, would be the day after Valentine's Day, so you still wonder how many people would actually be here for that. Tournament was actually moved ahead a week, or moved back a week, I should say, because the season was originally supposed to start on February 1st. Of course, our head admin, Sophie, is from the UK. She doesn't give a rat's ass about the Super Bowl. Finally, smart people prevailed. I'll never hear the end of it. But back to this game, Franchise about to take a 1-0 lead here. He stopped an all Pool Fiction final, and he's got a chance to win this for Pool Legends in Game 2. Keep in mind, if he does lose this game, he'll still have the break in Game 3. Not that he'll use it for a run break. He'll certainly tap. Stu, you would think, with this kind of break, would want to run this. And I'm taking notes here because sometimes my break comes out like this. So he's got in a really favorable position on that 9-ball. You know, if Kimbo was playing, he'd set his macro recorder at the start of this game and be like, yep, I'm keeping this one. And Stu, not just because he's my teammate, but I really think when you start listing off the top 5 players, not just currently, but ever in terms of just skill and especially running tables, right there with Luis, and MJ's a great table runner. Just so many games that he has pulled out, especially in the match play in the season. Pool Fiction players and opponents, and even 8-ball runner players and opponents, have become accustomed to seeing just that, a run straight off the break. And as somebody said at the table, yeah, he made that look really easy.